Dodrio was the fourth challenge together here on the channel. It finished in second place with a time of 1:46.04, but now it's time for Dodrio to get another try. As we've just seen, Dodrio was one of the very first challenges we did together here on the channel. I really think there's an awful lot of room for improvement, and seeing Dodrio get knocked all the way down to page 3 was all the inspiration I needed to give this Pokemon another shot. Now, if you do remember the first Dodrio challenge here together on the channel, thank you for sticking around for so long, and if you're new around these parts, please think about subscribing so that in another couple of years when we inevitably do Dodrio again, I can say thank you for being around for so long as well. And in the meantime, let's take a look at the stats of what is at present our Doduo. We are level 5 with 18 HP, holding a berry with Peck and Growl. We've got 14 in attack, 10 in defense, 10 also in the specials, and 14 in speed. It's a nice palindrome set of stats to get us started with the challenge. We'll get the potion from Elm's aid, and of course I'll show you our very first encounter with a wild Pokemon. It's a level 2 Sentret this time, and a critical hit Peck knocks it out in 1. We're off to a very good start here in this challenge, and let's see if we can keep it up against the first rival battle. There wasn't anything too great for the rival to have, so we chose the Cyndaquil line, just because the Feraligatr line really cannot do anything with its special attack. We disposed of the rival with a trio of Pecks in our first battle, and we can now make our way into our first gym together. This is Falconer's Flying-type gym, and he leads with Pidgey. It's a pair of Pecks to knock out the Pidgey, and we're going to continue pecking against the Pidgeotto. 3 Pecks later, we knock it out, and we defeat Falconer in a time of 6 minutes and 33 seconds. That, by the way, is with Sprout Tower, so we already have Flash. Our second gym leader together is Bugsy, the Bug-type specialist, and this is a foregone conclusion. It's a one-shot on both of his cocoons. It's going to be a 2-shot against the Scyther. We defeat Bugsy and grow to level 20 and obtain the Hive badge in a time of 12 minutes and 8 seconds. We cannot celebrate for too long though, because the dreaded Rival 2 is just around the corner. I can't see him proving to be too problematic in this challenge, but you never know, he can always throw a bit of a curveball. Ghastly's a simple one-shot, Zubat's out second, and we knock it out with a single Swift, and the third Pokemon is Quilava. We use 2 Swifts to knock it out so we don't get burnt, and we say goodbye to the rival for a second time in 12 minutes and 33 seconds. Our third gym leader is Whitney of Goldenrod Gym. She's a normal type specialist who leads with Clefairy. Clefairy's a one-shot with Tri-Attack, and now we're on to Miltank. It's going to be a 3 shots, but rollout misses, and that means it's all over for Whitney. We obtain her badge, the plain badge, in a time of 16 minutes and 20 seconds. We can make our way into the Burnt Town where the rival is waiting for us for a third time. We needed Hidden Power Fire for this battle, so that means we're not doing Quick Critique, but I still think we're on a very good pace regardless. It's a one-shot combined with a Curse to knock out the Haunter. Hidden Power Fire one-shots the Magnemite, and we'll swap to Tri-Attack for the Zubat. Quilava's the final Pokemon. It's a one-shot with Tri-Attack, and we defeat the rival for a third time. Now, you may have noticed we declined the option to evolve there, and that's because we want to get up to level 33 before evolving. We learn Drill Peck at level 33, courtesy of this Drowsy, and this is a battle I didn't actually want to take on. Unfortunately, we were 1 experience point shy of evolving before Morty, and that meant we had to spend a little bit of time taking on our backup trainer battle. However, I'm sure the time we spent against the trainer will be more than made up against Morty, because not only do we have the best flying type move in the game, we're also fully evolved now as well. So this is Morty, our 4th gym leader together, and this is going to be a bit of a clean sweep. It's going to be a single Drill Peck on all of his Pokemon to knock them out, and that means we are going to obtain our 4th badge, the Fog badge, in a time of 26 minutes and 43 seconds. Let's now cross the open seas to Cyanwood City where Chuck is waiting for us. Chuck's our 5th gym leader together, a fighting type specialist who leads with Primeape, and this is a foregone conclusion for Chuck. It's 2 simple one-shots to knock out both of his Pokemon, and that's the Storm badge in 28 minutes and 25 seconds. And after a quick rocket section, we can take on Price. He's our 6th gym leader together, an ice type specialist who leads with Seal. And for a change, this is actually our most dangerous gym battle we'll have in all of Johto. We are relying on Blizzard missing here. That's going to be the best way to get through this battle. And of course, Blizzard hits on our first attempt. The good news is though that the Price battle is a fairly quick reset. Seal's completely irrelevant, and we know we can 2-shot Dugong. Dugong crits us, but that doesn't really mean anything. All we need to do is dodge the blizzard, and that's exactly what happens on our second attempt. Price gets himself caught in a healing loop, we grow to level 39, we defeat him to obtain the Glacier badge in 33 minutes and 33 seconds. Let's move on to Jasmine, the Steel-type specialist who leads with Magnemite. Now we take on Jazz after Price, because if we take on Jazz first, that Steelix is a 3-shot range. However, with the extra level and a high roll, we critical hit and we knock out the Steelix in one shot, and all that bad luck at Price has now been negated courtesy of Jasmine. That's our 7th badge, the Mineral badge, in 34:53, and let's ride this high as we take on the rival for the 4th and penultimate time. It's a one-shot with Drill Peck against the Golbat, and we'll use Hidden Pound Fire against the Magnemite. We grow to level 43 as the Haunter comes out, so we'll swap back to Drill Peck, and it's another simple one-shot. Sneasel Pleasel is also another one-hit with Drill Peck, and the final Pokemon is Quilava. Once again, it's another one-shot to finish off the rival, and we are through him in just about 40 minutes exactly. Let's now take on Claire. She's our final Jotonian gym leader who leads with Dragonair. Tri-Attack is more than capable of one-shotting all 3 of these Dragonairs, so we're not going to waste any PP on return. 3 Tri-Attacks later and we're on to Kingdra, and we achieve something that very few Pokemon are able to do. We one-shot the Kingdra without a critical hit, and that means we get the Rising badge in 46 minutes and 16 seconds. I cannot stress enough just how good the pace is with Dodrio. Let's keep this up as we take on the rival for one last time. Return one-shot Sneasel Pleasel and we're on to Magneton. Hidden Power Fire is capable of one-hitting the Magneton, and we'll swap to Tri-Attack for the Golbat. That goes down in a single hit, and we'll go back to Drill Peck for the Haunter, and it's starting to feel like there are very few Pokemon that Dodrio cannot one-shot. It's a single hit against the Kadabra, it's going to be a single hit against Typhlosion as well. And we say goodbye to the rival for the last time in 49 minutes and 18 seconds. And now we're at the Pokemon League, so we'll heal up our Dodrio whether we need it or not, and we'll say thank you to the HM friends. So it's a big thank you to Kenya, to Amber, to Psyduck, and merci to Paris. You've all been a great help in the Johto region. Get yourself some much deserved rest as Dodrio prepares to take on the Pokemon League. Before we go into the league, let's take a look at our stats, and we are level 52 with 143 HP, holding the pink bow with Return, Drill Peck, Hidden Power Fire, and Tri-Attack. 158 in attack, 107 in defense, 104 in the specials, and 141 in speed. Those are of course the outer battle stats. We'll get a big boost in battle, as we'll see here against Will. He's our first league member, a psychic type specialist who led with a Xatu that's already been knocked out. We get revenge against the ice types by knocking out Jinx in a single return, and then we finally find a Pokemon with enough bulk to survive a stab return. Slowbro takes 2 hits, but it's back to the 1 hits for the Xatu, and we're going to one-shot Executor as well. A very quick will battle in a time of 50 minutes and 25 seconds. Let's move on to Koga. He's a poison type specialist who leads with Ariados. We skip some super effective text by using Return against Ariados. We are going to have to get it against the Fortress though. Hidden Power Fire is more than capable of knocking it out, and we'll swap to Return once again for the Muck. Muck is a one-shot, a very bulky Pokemon going down in 1 hit, as is Crobat. It feels like Dodrio is now unstoppable. We're through Koga in a time of 50 minutes and 57 seconds. Let's see how we get on against Bruno. He is of course a fighting type specialist who leads with Hitmontop. It's a one-shot on the Hitmontop as we grow to level 54, and here comes Onix. Onix is the big threat of the entire Pokemon League. He sets up a Sandstorm, and that means we are going to be whittled away for the rest of this battle. We're not in any danger of fainting because we can one-shot all of the Pokemon coming up in front of us, but it's just slowing us down. We get through Machamp, and the final Pokemon is Hitmonlee. The Sandstorm subsides, we knock it out in 1, and that's Bruno defeated in 51:37. Let's move on to Karen, the momentum killer of so many challenges. She leads with Umbreon, and we're doing the HP up strategy, and it works flawlessly. We held the Bitter Berry, and that means we're not confused for this battle. Instead, we have an incredibly easy ride now. We're at full accuracy for this battle, and we are more than capable of knocking out every single one of Karen's remaining Pokemon in a single hit. And now that we've knocked out Vileplume, we can defeat Karen in a time of 52:17, but in all the excitement of getting such a great time, I forgot to split. Don't worry, the final time will still be accurate, and now it's time for Lance, the Liar with the Flyers, who leads with Gyarados. Gyarados is a simple one-shot with return, and we are on to the pesky Dragonite. It's a coin flip as to whether we'll get through this unparalysed or whether we'll have to take a reset, and the coin flip goes our way in this instance. That means we're on to Aerodactyl. It can hit us with Rock Slide and take us deep into the yellow, but it's 2 shots to knock it out. That brings us onto the Charizard, which will one-shot with return, and now even a high roll from Hyper Beam isn't enough to take us out. That means we can 2-shot the Dragonite without getting into a healing loop, and we are through Lance in our quickest ever time of 53 minutes and 18 seconds. That gives us a Hall of Fame time of 53 minutes and 28 seconds. It's a remarkable pace so far, but there's still another 8 gym badges plus the red fight left to come, so don't you dare go anywhere because Kanto is next. And we rejoin the action here in Vermilion City, where the first thing we do in Kanto is the last thing we do in Johto. We're gonna get another rare candy, this time for the chairman of the Pokemon Fan Club. And with that safely tucked away in our bag for another challenge, I'm very pleased to announce that we are able to do our standard Kantonian routing. So we'll start with Lieutenant Surge, then we'll take on Erica and Janine, then we'll do Sabrina and Misty, and finally take care of Brock, Blaine and Blue. And as always, we're going to be having a little chat here in the Kantonian section. If you do want to skip it and go straight to the blue fight, your timestamp is 13 minutes and 51 seconds. For everybody else, so let's now get ourselves comfortable and have a little chat. And now the first thing I want to talk about in this one is the original Dodrio challenge. Creating this redo is a little bit bittersweet for me, because that original Dodrio video was a bit of a landmark moment in terms of the content here together on the channel. And that's because it was the first video where I really felt comfortable editing it down. Until then, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to show in each and every video, and which things could be cut to save a little bit of time, because I always knew I wanted to keep the videos quite short compared to other challenge runs here on YouTube, but I didn't quite know which bits to keep in and which bits to put on the cutting room floor. And I really do think that first Dodrio video was perfect in terms of the old style of editing. Of course, the times have changed and we have a much punchier Johto edit now, and then we spend some time together here in the Kanto section having this little chat. But that's not the only thing that's changed here on the channel. The way I do the challenge runs has significantly changed as well. Back when we did the Dodrio challenge, first of all we didn't set our DVs, and that meant I would soft reset over and over again until I got a Pokemon that looked like it had very good stats. And we also didn't use Game Hook, and that meant that everything that was shown on the overlay had to be typed in by hand, and goodness me, that used to take a lot of time in each challenge. But there was definitely a beauty in the simplicity of the old days of the channel, but I tell you what, I could never go back to the old days. The overlay that you saw back then was a PNG that I made in a combination of Photoshop and Excel. I had to type in all the moves one by one as we learnt them, and I had to create a different patch for each and every Pokemon that we played together here on the channel. And it really is night and day compared to where we are now, because for the most part this overlay is completely automatic. The only things I have to manually control are the timer and the reset count. Everything else is done via Game Hook. It's a shame it's gone because it really is a godsend for doing challenge runs. The overlay itself is now database driven, which makes backporting easier because instead of creating a picture, I just add a couple of lines of code saying what moves the Pokemon has. And the big one is the challenge run patch, because instead of having 251 versions of Pokémon Crystal, we can now set our starters as well as our DVs and whether we evolve in one simple place, and that again saves a lot of time and effort. If you do want to download it, by the way, there's a link in the description down below. But now let's rejoin the action here at Blue. He's our final Kantonian gym leader and he leads with Pidgeot. It's a 2-shot on Pidgeot with return because we low rolled this time. We take a little bit of damage from wing attack. The big threat, however, is this Rhydon. We can 2-shot it while holding the metal coat, but he decides to use Rock Slide. That takes us down to 33 HP, and I really should have taken the reset here. Instead, we persevered, and we end up getting knocked out by the Gyarados. I try holding the pink bow this time to try and make the Pidgeot more consistent, and then we have a stroke of great luck followed by a stroke of awful luck. Steel Wing gives us the defense boost, but Rhydon critical hits. We would have been able to get through if we hadn't got crit there, so we start over again. This time we're holding leftovers. It might be slower, but it's significantly safer. This time Rhydon goes for Sandstorm, and that's absolutely fine. We can deal with Sandstorm because we can fish for a Rain Dance against the Gyarados. Before we get to the Gyarados though, we've got to take care of an Arcanine with a single hit, and here it comes. We're going to use Drill Peck on turn number 1. Now that is going to get Blue caught in a healing loop, but that's significantly quicker than taking chip damage from Sandstorm. And then once Blue has finished faffing about healing up, we're going to go in for the KO with a lucky critical hit. That brings us on to Arcanine. The rain is still falling, and that means that Arcanine's Flamethrower is going to do next to nothing whatsoever. A pair of Drill Pecks knocks it out, and the final Pokemon is Executor. We finish Executor off with a single Drill Peck, and we are through Blue in a time of 1 hour 9 minutes and 6 seconds. It is now or never for Dodrio. 1:11:32 is the time to beat to get onto the top of the leaderboard. This is Red, the final battle of the challenge, and he leads with Pikachu. Pikachu's irrelevant, and second out is Blastoise. If Blizzard hits, we take a reset, and that's what happened here. We're going to try again, see if we can get any better luck this time. One shot on the Pikachu, we grow to level 65, and here comes Blastoise again. He uses Blizzard, he misses, and we knock it out in 2. Up next is Espeon. We use Return against the Espeon, but it's not quite a one-shot, and he sets up Reflect. We take an optional reset, we use 3 rare candies, and then we don't hold back. Pikachu's a one-shot, and we're on to Blastoise. We take it into the yellow, and he uses Rain Dance, and that is huge. That means we're not taking Blizzard damage, and we can one-shot Espeon. The pink bow now means that Snorlax is also in 2-shot range. He uses Amnesia, that's completely meaningless. Charizard is first, and he uses Flamethrower, and of course, Flamethrower had to burn. We're going to persevere though, because we know that Venusaur takes 2 turns to attack. We low roll with Drill Peck on turn 1, and we take some burn damage, but we high roll on turn 2, and we defeat Red in a time of 1 hour 11 minutes and 23 seconds. And that means it's not a secret anymore. Dodrio has had our fastest ever time through Pokémon Crystal. Let's get the leaderboard up and show Dodrio in first place, and the era of bird supremacy continues. All 3 spots on the podium are taken by bird Pokemon, and that does of course push Poliwrath down into the page 1 drop zone. That means we've got a new leader of page 2 in Kangaskhan, a former champion here on the channel, and Sandslash is now pushed down into the page 2 drop zone in 50th place. Heading up page 3, we now have Jinx with 144.39, and in the page 3 drop zone is now Fortress. 2 hours 50 minutes and 40 seconds for the Fortress, and that pushes Corsola down onto page 3. And please do spare a thought for poor Shuckle, who's now all the way down in 94th place. But with that, we are done. So if you have enjoyed this video, please do make sure to leave a like. If you want to see more challenges just like this, then click the subscribe button. If you have any feedback, leave it in the comments down below. And until next time, when we're continuing with the birds with Moltres in Pokemon Crystal, I'll say thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all very, very soon.